Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Three, an all-queer, narrative-driven D&D podcast where your three GMs are also your three PCs. My name is Dusty, my pronouns are they, she, and I play Ivy Nightbreeze Tinkerfey, whose pronouns are she, her, and I am currently crafting a happy birthday card with the Splat Possum on it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ariana. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Elara Spindlespark, whose pronouns are also she, her. And I'm doing this new thing where I'm like, hey, if you like our podcast, you should give us a 5-star review. I did it.
So official, Ari.
Obsessed with you.
Listen, it helps us.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Wayra. My pronouns are she, they, and I play Véres, whose pronouns are he, they. And I'm very excited.
No, you've used that one like 3 times.
I don't care. I'm always excited to play.
Fair, me too. A note regarding content warnings. This campaign is a dark fantasy that deals consistently with topics of body horror, complicated relationship dynamics, emotional distress, fantasy violence, gore, mechanized spiders, mental health and illness, profanity, and romantic and sexual relationships. A full list of episode-specific content warnings can always be found in the show notes of each episode. Last time, Véres offered to help Elara stabilize her pockets, and the two spent many hours puzzling out the arcane equation, and together they think they finally stabilized her exploding jacket, but only time will tell, dear listener. The next day, our trio went to Healing Hands Apothecary, where the group overheard an argument between the town guard, Commander Elroy, and the head healer, Zyra. Our too-curious artificer poked her head behind the curtain, and Elara saw a person bearing similar wounds to the one she acquired when she touched the gem from the ice plane. The group successfully deceived Zyra into thinking they were adventurers, and Véres suggested they try magical fire to melt the ice. While Véres helped remove armor from other injured guards, Ivy set to using her magical flame to melt the ice while Elara comforted the patient. As the ice melted, the guard began to bleed out, and with some quick thinking from Elara, who caused a diversion, and Ivy, who then stealthily healed the man, they were able to stabilize him. They then learned that the guards were injured while searching deep in the mines of Ozrin, and also that more creatures had been spotted fleeing Grimford and attacking travelers. Back outside in the town square, the group watched as a town crier spread word that a group called the Sige was heading this way, as well as Councilman Yolan Safindaris. Both were searching for the truth about what happened in Grimford. We pick up now with the group still in town square, looking at the boards for the location of the Science Guild.
You go and find out the location of the Science Guild. It is up further in the upper part of town past it. It's at the very top of the town. Right beside the barracks, actually, where the guards are. And near the mines. I think Véres subtly side glances at the board as they pass, and seeming to not find what he was looking for, continues on up the road.
Ivy also looks at the boards.
Ivy, you see a bunch of job listings, both for adventuring and for help wanted, essentially, for stores. There's some lost and found postings, and the newspaper is put up over some other things. There's so much posted on this board that it's some of them are layered, and you have to flip up other ones to see other ones. Ivy, as you're glancing at the board, you see underneath another posting, the top of the words in bold, wanted, dead or alive, the resented. But that's what you see hidden beneath a help wanted poster.
She looks at it and then moves on. And I think a little bit later as they're walking, she turns to Elara and goes, they really don't like this resented people, do they?
What?
Who was that poster on there?
It said wanted dead or alive. And generally that means dead.
Typically. They're very hated here. That's for sure. For good reason.
Ivy shrugs and drops the subject.
Yeah, so you guys carry on. Path there. This road is one of the main roads. It takes you straight up to another set of gates, though they're not the same as the front entry to Ozrin. There's no loop over top. It's just some guards standing there. They don't check papers. They just kind of nod as you pass through. It's not restricted or anything. They just like to keep track of traffic and make sure nobody's up to anything weird.
Once they get kind of past them a little bit, Elara goes, do you really think that the Sige is coming here? And she looks at Véres.
Véres thinks about it and nods and says, I think it would make sense, to be honest.
Well, if they're going to be checking for registration and stuff. Ivy's not registered.
Oh no, we very much need to leave. We cannot stay here any longer. I was going to wait to talk to you all about it when we got back, but I think that we should get out of here as soon as we can.
Ivy nods emphatically.
With the council, you'll stunt at the apothecary. A good stunt, mind you, but...
Yeah.
And then with the Sige, that's more trouble than it's worth. We should leave.
What is that?
The Sige?
Yeah,
Good question.
thank you.
He smirks. The Sige are divided into two different groups. So there's a research field, and then there is a active sort of military. All of them wear full armor, lighter on the spectrum, and masks to hide the kind of conceal who they are. That way they can go and live normal lives and also
Hunt down magic people.
They are used to investigate magic things, scenarios, artifacts, look into things such as Grimford, and also to hunt down unregistered magic users, criminals, and fight in wars, of course.
Wild.
They are not to be taken lightly, that is for sure.
And Councilman Safindaris is coming. And he's kind of like the president at this point of like all of the council. And so we should probably not want to be interfering with him either.
The president is coming here?
He's certainly not the president of the council. I don't think that's not a thing.
I mean, he is like in charge of like two of the things now. And like,
Sure.
that's more than anyone else.
I'm sure he's thrilled by it.
I don't want to talk to any official people about anything.
Nor do I think we should. I think they're going to be here looking for somebody to blame and not going to hear it all out.
Yeah, they said they were looking for the people responsible. And I guess, really, when you think about it, right? Like,
All those people are dead.
So who's left to blame?
so who does that leave?
Just us.
No, all the people who are responsible for it are dead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you tell them that then. I'm not going to tell them that.
And do you think that we should try to keep a low profile before we can leave?
We've been, well...
The lowest of profiles.
I take it back. We just healed somebody in the apothecary.
Mhm. The sooner we can get out of here, the better. I would like to leave tomorrow, if possible.
What about, like maybe 2 more days or 3?
Looks at you.
It's so close. My salve is so close.
Oh, they still need to repopulate?
It's almost done. So...
I'm sure that will be fine. Just lay low.
Okay, and if it's not, then that's fine too. But, if it is, then we can just stay a little longer. To the guild, and she points her finger.
As you guys talk about your plans to leave, you walk through the upper part of town and are heading for the mine area, where the barracks are also located. You look around, and everywhere you see are people dressed in really nice clothing. It's much cleaner up here. The houses are much more spaced out. The area is much more maintained. It's not that the lower part of Ozrin is bad or dingy by any means. It's that the upper part of Ozrin is so opulent. It's like we walk into a whole nother part of town. It's very strange. You walk through and no one really pays you any mind, except for a couple of folks who kind of like stick up their nose at you and turn and leave a different direction, continuing on their way. Ivy, there is a person who sees you. A look of recognition comes across their face, and they give you a little wave, and they continue on.
What?
You recognize this is the waitress at Ozrin's Rest
Oh.
Aww.
that you snuck into one day.
She waves back.
She just smiles a bit, and she hurries on her way.
A friend you made out on your out and about days?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Iris looks at you, Ivy.
She goes, yeah, that's why I'm asking.
She shrugs.
I feel betrayed.
Why?
You went to Ozrin's Rest, didn't you?
Alara gasps and like clutches her pearls.
That's the waitress at Ozrin's Rest, so...
Well, how do you know that if you don't go?
Alara, she gasps and clutches her pearls again.
Because the sisters that work there frequent another establishment that I work at.
The brothel?
Indeed.
She just nods.
He just smirks, it's like betrayed. He's joking, of course, but Anyway, you keep going, and eventually you kind of get to. There's a stark difference between really fancy and like nature. It's so sudden the transition that it's like you can look down at the ground and see where grass starts and cobble ends. And you walk up the path. It's a dirt road now, and you see a very large stone building. There's a stable on the side where there's some very large horses kind of being tended to. You can see it in the distance. People in armor, not full, but like leathers and some pieces of it put on, tending to things around the grounds. You can hear training distantly happening beyond the wall. So people are just making the rounds around. They give like a wave as they see you, just saying hello.
Laura waves back.
As you travel for about like 10 or 15 minutes, I think.
Are we walking uphill this whole time?
You are walking uphill. It's not steep.
Elara is, yeah, no. Elara
it's
is
not
side.
steep.
Yeah, no. She's like, oh, this is really uphill.
Véres is like, I mean, yes, the entire town is built on the mountainside, so right into.
Yeah, but this is like really, like this is like up the hill.
It's a steady incline.
Well, my legs are steadily hurting more and more as we walk.
I would offer you a piggyback, but
she like giggles.
I'm sure that would not be a good impression for meeting a science guild.
Hey, you could just drop me at the doorstep.
Sure. he kneels.
No, she starts like making a show of walking up the hill.
Oh, okay. He just laughs. Gets up. This offer stands. He continues walking. The closer you get, the more you realize that you are literally going right to the entrance of the mine. Around that area, you see the giant mountainside, like a cliff face essentially, with some like very obvious openings where there are things stabilizing, like keeping the entrance stable, support beams and such. There are 2 guards stationed on either side of it, and it is very obviously blocked off. There is a gate over front of it, an iron gate that has been lowered, and it says, "Do not enter. If needing access, request at barracks." On the other side of it, to the right, kind of like on like a big building on the path, there is a strangely well-maintained, beautifully made building. It's made of cobble and wood, and it's huge. Huge. You can see the glass ceiling from here. There's 2 sets of double doors, and in the middle there's like a bench sitting there. It's very well taken care of, very beautiful. And there's nobody outside. There is a name on the top of the building, carved into like almost like a white marble. It says Ozrin Center for Geology, Mining, and Mythic Bestiology.
Elara nods, and she takes out a little notebook, and it almost looks like a passport book but with more pages in it. And she flips it open to an empty page, and she writes down the guild name, and she takes out her guild badge. Okay, well, remember, no magic stuff. We're not even gonna go there this time. And this'll just be a quick trip in and out.
Remind me what it is that you have to do here again?
Well, since I haven't picked a concentration yet, I just kind of get to go around to guilds and study and take on small jobs to help out, while I guess everyone just hopes that I finally settle on a concentration. Most people have like a set number of guilds they have to go to on the 5-year that will kind of like further their research, but mostly it's just working for guilds for not very much money. But today, we're gonna go in, and I'm hopefully gonna maybe sweet talk them into stamping my book. And she shows you like her little passport book, so I can mark another one off on my list.
So it's going to be a long day here.
No.
There's 3 different areas of study, it seems.
No, we'll just pick one. Which one sounds the most interesting?
That's up to you.
Mythical beasts.
Whatever pertains to your study, I suppose.
Well, none of them really do.
Then why are we here?
I told you I want to check it off my little list.
Well, you've seen it. Can't you just check it off your list and we can go?
No, I need to get the stamp that shows I've been here. We have to see a certain number of guilds before the 5-year is up. They have to remember me.
Well, you go and you look for gems and such, don't you?
I do.
So geology or mining.
Yeah, but I don't really want to talk about magical gems.
Also, isn't the remembering part the reason why you have 7 strikes on your little book?
No, that's a whole separate thing.
So you actually did something wrong.
Some things, 7, that we're aware of.
I've got to hear these stories sometime.
Yeah, one day, not right now, one day. Like I said, it's just like if I go back, the Royal Spot Lab, and Rohisa's like, hey, you went to this lab, they can communicate with them and they'll be like, oh yeah, Elara was here and she did, this. Nothing bad. Good stuff.
Ivy, is this the process for where you're from? Do you know?
No, there's really no, I don't know what happens. To be honest, my dad never comes out of the basement.
Oh, okay.
Not in a weird way. His lab is in the basement.
Okay.
Véres schools his expression so quick, it's alarming. He's like, oh.
His, like, the whole under part of our house is his lab. And then
Cool.
my mom's lab is like the top part of the house.
That sounds awful.
Why?
Why wouldn't he want a lab with windows?
Because weapons kept going through them.
Oh.
Interesting.
Well, I suppose that would explain it.
Yeah, they didn't really want to keep replacing our windows because he would, mess up calculations. And so we were just like, we'll just move you to the basement and Mom can have the top 4th floor.
I keep my sentiment. That sounds terrible, but
I'm sorry,
each their own.
your house has 4 floors?
Yes,
Oh, so you live in like a manor.
it's a house.
Well, you've seen the houses here.
Uh-huh. My dad doesn't sleep in the basement. He just works in the basement. They've got their own wing. Shuts her mouth and nods.
Maybe one day, Ivy, we can go there and check it out. And get some magical rocks, maybe, she whispers.
Maybe.
Insight check. Hey, that's an 18.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Ivy's like, absolutely not.
That's a 17. You just got it.
What does she understand, Ivy?
Internal monologue currently is something along the lines of, fuck that. I don't want to go back. Y'all don't want to see where I'm from. You don't.
Well, just maybe, maybe.
Maybe. But yeah, like I was saying, my mom is the one who goes and does things and I don't really tag along. So,
So is your do you go out and do things? In the town or
Not really.
okay.
There's not a lot for me to do in town.
Is it boring?
Yeah, it's boring and there's just not a lot catered to me. So I spend time in between, my study room and my house.
You're not really selling me much on.
Good.
I don't think that's the intention here. So
It's really not the intention.
So is
what?
no, it just sounds boring.
It is. It's very boring. It's very stuffy.
Is the place where the rocks are also boring and stuffy?
Never actually been to the place with the rocks, so I assume it's probably not.
Adventurers go there and get them?
When my dad has to go get more gems, he does carry with him 2 swords. So
oh, your dad can fight.
he was an adventurer,
Cool.
No way. Following in his footsteps.
I guess.
Did he ever find his wizard?
No, he left before he was able to.
She nods.
Well, he met my mom pretty early on in the whole adventuring thing.
Well, after you.
They've just been standing outside the door having this conversation. We walk in.
And you walk into a reception area. You're seating a couple people doing some paperwork at some desks there. There are doors leading to another area, but you can't really see through the window there, just blinds blocking it. But you're met with 2 desks, both of them currently occupied by somebody, and one of them is currently talking to someone else.
Go up to the empty one.
In front of you, you see a short gnomish woman She has like dark brown, kind of kinky curly hair. It's like to her shoulders. With this lovely patterned scarf kind of tying it back out of her hazel eyes. She has like black skin with warm earthy undertones. She's about 3'7". Seems to be at a rapid fire pace, flipping through a notebook and making notes in another paper on the side. Very enraptured in what she's doing.
Elara kind of stands there and waits.
When she finishes writing her last note and she looks up and she goes, "Oh, hi! What can I do for you?"
Hi, I'm Elara Spindlespark, from the Royal Spot Lab of Citrine, and I'm just making a stop here on my 5-year, and she'll hold out her badge.
Oh, wonderful. It's nice to meet you, Elara. My name is Winola.
Nice to meet you.
Let me see your badge there, and she'll take it off her hands.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a check over. Takes out another book, puts it on the top, and flips through. So, you're on your 5-year. Were you looking to sign up for work? What's your intention of visiting today?
Yeah, for jobs, absolutely. You know, just like the regular stuff. Do you have anything available?
Well, let me see here. And she like opens her book. Do you have a preference for which subsect of science you would like to? There is mythic bestiology. We've got quite a popular group for that. We've got geology and mining, and then we have mine mapping specifically.
Geology. I'm really into rocks.
For sure, yeah. Let me see if there's any availability for that. She's just rapid fire flipping through. You see the months pass.
Okay, well, that's fine. I guess, you can't always get work at all the guilds you stop in.
I can check like mythic beasts if you want, like if you had any interest in that.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
Until, of course, geology opens up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we get people who drop it because they're not really into it.
I'm not gonna be here probably that long, but
okay.
just
well,
kind of
check.
Passing through, yeah.
She flips through another whole section, like a big wad of paper goes to the other side. So she's flipping through dates in the mythic beasts and says, "Oh, yeah, we've got a couple slots for mythic beasts, though, if you're interested."
Yeah, let's do that.
Wonderful. I will sign you up with Cameron.
Okay.
Are you free to do a tour right now, or would you want to come back for that?
No, that would be great. Maybe I could just get that stamp, get that marked off today that I've been here. That would be just wonderful.
Oh, sure. That would be Cameron's job. But I'm sure she'd be more than happy to.
Okay.
She kind of slides the badge back to you and marks you in. Says Elara Spindlespark as she's like writing it.
Mm-hmm.
No middle name?
No.
Okay. So she writes you in, and then I'll be right back. I'm gonna go see if Cameron's available.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course. Will your friends be needing a job too?
Yeah, if they're allowed, we're just kind of hanging out together, and I was like, oh, I can show you the lab,
Oh yeah, I think that would be okay. Just keep your hands to yourself, of
Mm-hmm.
course. Yeah. She hops down off of her stepping stool, disappearing behind the desk, and walks over to the door. She holds her hand in front of the door, kind of like this on the side, and there's like a brief flash of something, and then the door unlocks.
Elara goes, magic. Are we following her?
Nope. She disappears. She's gone for a little bit, and you guys are just kind of standing there.
Ivy's looking around, hands behind her back.
You see like mounted skeletons of mythic beasts around, like actual displayed creatures.
Is there a displacer beast?
Yeah. Do we recognize any of them?
You see a dragon head. It is very obvious. It's very small, probably more like a worm.
Ivy shields Bia's eyes.
Oh, but it is there. There's a plaque underneath talking a little bit about it. There's like little skeletal samples of smaller beasts, and a bit about them too. But really, that's it. There's also like samples of like geodes and other rocks that are found here locally. Some gems that are typically found in the area.
Do any of them have an arcane shimmer on them?
Make an Arcana check.
9.
None of them have an arcane shimmer on them.
She shrugs.
A few moments later, the door opens again, and out walks Winola. All right, Karen's available, so follow me.
Okay. She looks back at Ivy and Véres.
Véres gestures for you two to go ahead. They hold the door. So you walk into a boring, empty hallway
Love it.
with some artwork on the side, couple of portraits of some of the scientists there and some people who have been here on their 5 years. Some of them are more prominent than others. One of them, Elara, you actually recognize as somebody you went to school with in Hellsphere who has since dropped the course.
Hey.
Eventually, Manola takes you to a door that is made of like a heavy metal. They put their hand in front of the door and you hear a click and you see that flash again and it unlocks. She opens it, gestures for you all to go inside, and beyond it, you see some pretty cool stuff. There is a full skeleton of a dragon in there, hanging from the ceiling. The ceilings are very high, super high up. It's being put together currently. You actually see that there's a desk in the process of removing a bone of the skeleton or the dragon out of some rock. They're working on reconstructing it.
Cool. I don't think Laura's ever seen that before.
Well, you see a gigantic dragon body. This thing is massive, bigger than any building you've ever seen.
How big is the inside of this place?
It's huge. It is huge. You're currently standing on like a lookover, so it looks like the ground actually goes deeper into, like the floor goes deeper into the ground to make room for all this, and also gives the illusion of the place being smaller on the outside than it actually is. You do see a woman with dark, like kind of deep blue skin and long jet black hair, elven ears that are kind of webbed, and she is dressed very formally and with a lab coat over top. And she walks up and she goes, "I suppose this is the group?"
Yeah, hi. I'm Elara. Elara Spinelspark.
I'm aware of who you are, but welcome.
Thank you.
Of course, I am Cameron.
Hi.
I'll be showing you around. I am in charge of the Mythical Beasts department for this afternoon's tours. And you two are? She looks at you, Ivy, first.
Ivy.
All right. And you? Véres. All right, Ivy and Véres. Great. Are they scientists as well? Friends of yours?
Just friends.
Okay. Is Mythic Beasts a study of yours lately, Elara, or?
No. I just thought it might be interesting, and there was nothing in the gems department, so I just figured this could be cool. I've never seen a dragon skeleton before.
So we're your second choice. Fair enough. Véres makes a face like this bitch. Winola looks a little nervous. Glance from Cameron to you, back to Cameron, and nods and says, "Well, I think I'll leave you with Cameron. I'll be at the front." And she heads out.
Okay, don't lock us in here.
Oh, the door locks on its own, but you can get out. You just can't get in. That's all.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course. And she scampers away. She does not seem to like this scenario.
Neither do I.
She looked uncomfortable.
Ivy's got her arms crossed and she's got this I don't even know how to describe it. Her eyebrows are a little raised and she's got a smirk on her face and she's just sort of watching.
All right, well, let me take you down to your second choice. And she gestures you down the stairs, and as she walks, her heels click on the stairs, heading down. It's like, "So, where are you traveling from today?"
Oh, fuck. Oh, well, we're staying here in Ozrin, and then we'll be going east a little, and haven't decided yet where, which next lab we'll be stopping at.
Oh, yes.
But wanted to just tick this one off my list.
Sort of like a tourist destination, yeah?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's really interesting, and I really don't know much about mythical beasts, and I do like to, learn lots of new different things, so,
You've certainly chosen a great day to come. We have only recently unearthed the leg of this giant beast here, so we're currently working on that. We have a couple of other things in the works here. Anything in particular you would like to see first? The skeleton? Anything you're specifically curious about?
She looks back at Ivy and Véres. Do you have any preferences?
I'd like to see the dragon.
Véres nods in agreement. I've never actually seen one in person, but I've read some things about them. Somebody roll me a d6.
6.
6? Okay. She smiles a little bit, nods. They're fascinating creatures, really. Much more intelligent than most people give them credit for. A lot of people think that they just kind of run on a primal instinct, a drive, if you will, and survival instinct maybe. But they're actually quite cunning. There's been rumors about them. Some, depending on their age, were able to transform into people.
Ivy's nodding in the background. Has she noticed Bia?
No, she hasn't noticed Bia yet. Her passive perception is low.
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 I want to roll and see if I know what type of dragon this might be.
Yeah, do it, please.
History or nature?
You can either do nature or history.
I'm going to do nature. That's a 23.
Amazing. Okay. So you're looking at this dragon, and something about the structure of the horns and the way that the spikes are on the back of it, and even like the claws on them, you're pretty sure this is a black dragon. You know that their alignment is typically chaotic evil, and they're huge beasts. This looks like an adult, maybe, judging by its size. And you do see kind of like on the back of the legs, what really tips you off to it being a black dragon is it has kind of like these little spokes where you know some fin-like appendages might have been growing from.
I think she nudges Véres a little bit while the woman's talking to Elara, and she points her head up to the dragon, and she goes, "It's a black dragon."
Oh, really? How can you tell?
The skull and generally, really, it's the fins on the back of the arms.
You mean the spokes?
Did this area used to be like a swamp or marshland?
I'm gonna get him to make a history check. With a 17, I think that he would know. He nods and he says, yes, it did actually used to be swamp around pre-Forsaking. This really is a great find, honestly. I had heard that most dragons had gone extinct, so...
It's very well preserved.
It is.
Makes you wonder what happened, right?
He nods.
Although, to be fair, swampland would be the best place for perfectly preserved bones. I wouldn't be surprised if they found scales, too.
Now that would be cool. You notice that the woman is staring at you now, Ivy, and she says, "A studier of mythic beasts, are you?"
I dabbled.
You dabbled? I think that's more than dabbling.
She shrugs.
You're quite knowledgeable.
I just thought it was interesting.
Well, yes, this is a black dragon. It is an adult, and unfortunately we have not found the scales yet, but we're hoping.
She just nods.
So are you also an artificer or scientist to be, or?
No, I was supposed to be, but I break everything I touch, so that's why my hands are behind my back right now.
And she looks at you, and I think that now she notices Bia. And she quirks an eyebrow and says,
Took her so long.
Must be something to do with the pseudo-dragon, yes?
Oh no, she's just, I don't know what she is. She's something.
A rare creature is what she is. What did you find her?
I found her, actually at the edge of a bank. She was drowning and I saved her.
Well, lucky her.
She's returned the favor in kind many times, and then eaten me out of house and bacon, so...
Well, as long as she's getting a balanced diet and lots of love, I can't see a problem there.
She would say it's not a balanced diet. She would say that to balance it out, more bacon, but yes.
Of course, very opinionated, I hear they are.
Oh, yes.
How much do you want for her?
Excuse me?
What would it cost, out of curiosity?
Nothing that you could afford.
Name and price. You know, I don't think that this is the sort of conversation that's appropriate for this moment.
Laura nods. She's not for sale.
Ivy was coming around to this person, and now she's just like...
Back at square one.
Yeah.
We're below square one, actually.
Just like, bitch, I'm trying to take my companion. She nods. She's like, no, perhaps you're right. Well, and she continues on forward, and she brings you right up to the skeleton of the dragon and the site where they are uncovering the bone. You see there are some cases of other rocks where there are pieces of other bone parts sticking out. Ivy, make a nature check.
Okay.
Laura touches the skeleton.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
17.
Ivy, this is not the right bone for this dragon. This is to another dragon.
Can I tell what type of dragon or no?
With a 17?
I'll do an investigation if you want.
Yeah, do an investigation. Let's see.
She casually looks at it and then zeroes in on that one bone, and she like scrunches up her face and looks at it. That is an 18. One better.
Hey, maybe that was the DC.
That was the DC, actually.
No way.
This is fantastic.
Roll a D6.
Yes, actually, roll a D6, please.
My D6 fell. Hold on. It's a 2.
Okay. Ivy, you know this to be a copper dragon. Their alignment is typically chaotic good. They are immune to acid damage, which you know dragons have an aptitude for. You've read enough about these dragons and their temperaments and their characteristics and like the habitats that they take on to know that these two probably died fighting each other if they found them this close together.
Does she find any other bones from the copper dragon within the...
Just the one.
Just the one? And you, what bone was it again, you said?
It is an arm part.
She points at the bone. Did you find another dragon?
She looks at you and raises an eyebrow. No, as far as we're aware, it's just one.
That's to a copper dragon, that bone there.
Laura whips her head.
Make a persuasion check.
Nat 20, bitch.
Holy
Nice.
shit.
She scoffs and she says, "You dabbled in mythic beasts and you think you know better than the research team?" She leaves you and you hear her heels click as she walks over to the bone, and she opens the case and she takes out a tool. She like presses a couple parts of it and it floats suspended in the air and kind of like does a up and down motion over it. It comes back to her hand and she holds it up the circle and she seems to be reading something on it.
Ivy just stands there watching, knowing she's right.
She laughs. She says, "You're right. It is a copper dragon. Are you sure you don't want to reconsider your career?"
She laughs a bit and she goes, "Well, congratulations, I guess, on finding a copper dragon as well."
Thank you. I guess we're going to have to go back into this mines. Varys makes a face, but quickly looks away. If you're interested in coming back into the field, I'd be happy to take you on. It would be nice to have somebody working here who can actually make a decision on their focus.
Ivy narrows her eyes.
Varys whips her head and looks over at her.
Oh? What does that mean?
She sets down the tool on the desk and she holds out her hand and says, "Your badge, Elara."
Yes? What?
May I see it?
But she hands it over.
Your guild book, please.
And she reaches into her pocket and she hands it out.
Thank you.
She feels like she's in trouble right now.
She flips through it, looking at all of the guilds that you have visited over all of the years. And she flips to the page where you wrote the guild name. She reaches into her pocket, takes out a stamp, and looks at you.
Laura smiles like nervously.
She flips over your badge to look at the 7 tally marks. She clicks her tongue, puts her stamp back in her pocket, puts your badge in the book, and hands it back to you. I've heard a lot about you, Elara. Your name is very popular amongst the guilds. You're highly talked about, mostly for your position with Rohis at the Royal Spot Lab, which is funny because for somebody who can't even pick a concentration after they've nearly completed their 5-year, I personally think it could be better suited for others who have, but that is not my decision.
Oh, okay. I see what this is. Jealousy really is not a good color on you.
Laura's looking down, but she kind of like smiles.
No, I don't suppose it would be.
Well, this was great.
Was it?
It was. Have fun with, well, you know.
Incorrectly diagnosing your bones, I suppose.
Laura giggles.
Needing to rely on other things when you should be able to just see it. But you know, I just dabble. And she motions for Elara and gets them to walk out before she cuts a bitch and destroys priceless artifacts in the process.
Elara, you should really drop out. Make room for those who can make decisions.
And you should go fuck yourself. I'm sorry, was that not
Ivy,
prominent enough?
I think that when things start to get a little heated, Varys is going to like take a step in front of Elara. And he's going to stand there and cross his arms and just kind of stare down at the situation. Upon closer inspection, you can kind of see that his jaw clenches a bit, and he is barely containing an anger.
It's okay.
No, it's not okay. You don't deserve that.
Just because this stuck-up salty bitch can't keep her fucking comments to herself.
I think we should leave. I would say it was a pleasure, but, well, you know. And he turns and walks with you and stands behind Elara and walks out.
Does the door just open when they go out?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
You put your hand on the handle and it opens up.
Straight to the outside.
Ivy passes by the reception desk and she like lightly taps on it and she goes, I would suggest having some internal review check on that woman. She doesn't know what she's doing. You found 2 dragons. Congratulations. And walks out.
Bye. Thanks for visiting. I'm so sorry.
Ivy just waves.
Elara goes, bye, Winola. Thank you for being nice.
Thanks for visiting, Elara. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. They get outside.
As you are walking out, somebody actually comes over to your group.
Ivy whirls around. Like, what?
In front of you, you actually see a dragonborn, copper in color, ironically.
Very.
And he smiles gently and says, I'm not here to cause a problem. Can I see your pass, Elara?
She takes it out of her pocket.
He takes the book and opens it to the page where her ID is and stamps the page. And then he closes it, handing it back to her. If Rohis would like to speak to somebody here about your visit here, she can speak to me. I'm in charge of Mythic Beasts Department.
Oh, sure. She kind of like sniffles. Thank you.
Of course. It's no way making up for what just happened in there, but you don't deserve that.
It's fine. Thank you.
Take care. And he nods and turns and heads back to the door. And he opens it and he looks like he's on a mission.
Good. Fuck that bitch.
Like Elara just starts walking.
Paris walks with her, and I think after a few seconds of silence, like, I could blow it up.
I just want to blow her up.
We don't have to blow anyone up. Thank you both for sticking up for me.
I didn't say anything, but...
You said something that made me giggle at the end. I'm sorry that, we've had another bad experience at a lab.
You have nothing to apologize for. Nothing.
I was gonna say, I think that's just her fucking personality.
What a bitch, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to buy your pseudo dragon off of you like it was a pet.
That wasn't very nice.
No.
That was wild.
Weird.
Well, one thing you should know about traveling to guilds with me is, that stuff like that kind of happens more often than not. So just, maybe next time I'll just go in by myself.
I don't think you should ever go into a guild again by yourself, to be honest, so...
People deserve to know that when they act like shitheads, they're going to be treated like shitheads.
They get what's coming to them.
Well, I guess, I'm lucky that I have 2 people who are happy to tell other people when they're acting like... She kind of like...
Buttheads.
Buttheads.
You're looking for buttheads.
Jerks or something,
Jerks. Big jerks.
Fucking assholes. It's okay to swear sometimes.
Colossal jerk.
Colossal jerks.
Mm-hmm.
She nods. It'll be fine. I'm used to it, so...
You shouldn't be.
No, you shouldn't be, and I hope that changes. I don't think... Doesn't make any sense to me why a field based in research and like discovery shits on people who are so interested in so many different fields. Doesn't make any sense.
Because the guilds, I've learned, are about being the best, and it's hard to be the best at a lot of things. So they teach us to pick one thing and get really, really, really good at it and be the best at it, And the more people that you have who are kind of being the best, leads to competition, which leads to people pushing themselves, I guess, to discover more and to do more and to be more. And so it's really not very accepted to not just pick one thing. And I think the only reason that I haven't been kicked out or completely shunned is because of my dad, and also because of Rohis, because if it wasn't for them, and I just came from like a nowhere lab, I would have never made it this far. And so then also people don't really like me because they think that I get special treatment, which maybe I do a little bit, I don't know. But I don't do it on purpose, And
I mean, everybody gets a little bit of special treatment at some point. Obviously, that cunt in there has some, or she'd be fired.
It is, she might be. With any luck.
I hope so, but...
This is why I was so, unsure about talking to Ember, you know?
Every path we take in life has hardships. Everybody's different. We all shoulder different things. My issues are not yours and yours are not mine, and that's what makes us unique and exciting, and it sucks to be the same.
The only issue is the more different you are, the harder the struggle. Makes it worthwhile, though, in the end, doesn't it?
Maybe.
Having a person who knows so much about so many different things is so integral to things operating, because you have the knowledge of all of these other things, and you're not singularly minded when it comes to a problem. You can look at the vast knowledge that you have of other different things and put it together to solve a problem that nobody else will be able to do, because they're so up their own assholes that they can't look outside of their own sphincter.
I think that you should tell them that next time.
I'll do it now.
Yeah.
She turns around.
And Véres grabs the back of your shirt.
Please.
Low profile.
Low profile.
Well, next time then.
She nods.
Believe me, Ivy, if I had it my way, I'd go back in there and beat the shit out of her, but I do not, so...
Well, she'll get whatever she gets. I'm still glad we went in there, you know. I got to touch a dragon bone, and I've never done that before.
It was really cool to see
It was.
the black dragon skeleton.
And you know so many things about dragons.
We do.
I just like beasts.
I mean, they're pretty cool.
They really are. But if we had gone into the gem section, I would have been like so far out of my fucking element.
I'm like, yep, that's a rock.
So many rocks.
It's a shiny rock.
Very pretty.
I have a necklace with a rock that
I
color.
can tell you the estimated value of it.
I could tell you the estimated value of them. If you ever need an appraiser, I can appraise gems for you. So I'm really glad that we came out, but I am really ready to go back inside now. Unless there's any other weird things we want to get into today.
No.
What, me cursing out a scientist was weird to you?
It wasn't very low profile, I will say that.
She started it.
Fucking deserved it.
And I end things.
She nods.
Ivy's ready to go back too. Because if she doesn't go back and go to like a quiet, safe spot, she's gonna kill someone.
Think that Véres is on the same page as Ivy, honestly. So he is gonna look at the two and say, so shall we leave before we do something we regret, or...
It's probably a very good idea.
Elara nods.
Alright. And I think that you guys are going to go back to town, pick up your stuff from the general store.
The general store. Alara's going to mail her letters. Elara is going to mail her letters to her parents and to her mentor.
Is Elara going to mail her letters?
Alara's going to mail her letters.
What is everyone going to do for the night, or are we just going to...
Ivy's going to do some breathing exercises.
I mean, I feel like that's apt. Calm herself down.
Alara's going to bury herself in another project.
I think Véres goes to his room and grabs a couple of things before heading to Alara's room, with the intention of tandem working with her for most of the night.
Okay. I don't think she talks very much.
It's okay.
Cool.
During their time in Ozrin, I think he's developed this habit of like taking up specific places whenever they take turns hanging out in one another's rooms. In Alara's, he's got a spot on the floor against the wall by the window that he tends to take up and think that's where he's going to sit. I just don't think that he really wants to leave her on her own after, like everything that's happened today. And he just wants to make sure that she's okay. She doesn't have to talk about it or say anything at all for that matter. I think that he just wants her to know that she's not alone.
I think that she'll just kind of continue working on her project. I think she's just like messing around with an exoskeleton, and yeah, she's not going to say anything.
I think he's going to quietly work on a project. He has two of his notebooks out on the floor in front of him, and the fluorite gem out along with them. It's peaceful, and there's something about it that I think is familiar to him. So as the time passes, and though he fights it, I think he ends up dozing off. His head kind of leaned back against the wall as the pen He was holding slips from his hand onto his notebook, and shortly after, the gem follows suit.
Well, I think when Elara hears the noise, the gem, the pen, she looks up and she sees that he fell asleep. And so I think that she just kind of continues working on her project. Do they fall? Does Véres stay sleeping?
Yeah, Véres doesn't really stir a whole lot for a little bit. You just kind of hear like the shallow breaths of somebody who's asleep. After a little while of like sitting there, he starts making faces or mumbling in his sleep.
So I think when she notices that some time has gone by, she's probably moved on to a different project, taken out a notebook to kind of scribble notes in, as well as another book for her to be reading from. I think that she gets up when she sees that he's having maybe a little bit of a hard time sleeping, and she goes into her pocket and she takes out this little gray, like smooth stone. It almost looks like a skipping stone, like one that you would use to skip on the water.
Mm-hmm.
And she taps it and it actually starts making like a rain sounds, because sometimes when she has trouble sleeping, that's something that like is a little soothing to her. And so she will get up and go as quietly as she can and put the rock next to Véres, and she will also grab a blanket off of her bed and just kind of cover him up. She's got like this quilt that is has really kind of neutral like browns and greens and yellowish colors, and it's old and kind of a little raggedy, but I think she'll cover them with that, and she's gonna go back to her little corner that she was sitting in, and we'll continue to be reading and taking notes and stuff.
I think that when she gets closer to him and she puts the blanket around him, he will stir a little bit. Doesn't wake up fully, but he does kind of I want to say flinch, but not quite. And his breathing becomes uneven for a second, and she thinks that he might wake up, but it evens out after a moment, and his face unscrews and he relaxes a bit more. As the sound of the rain goes, he seems to lull into a more peaceful sleep.
When she notices that, she kind of nods her head and goes back to her stuff.
I think after a little while, probably a couple of hours, it's probably late at this point,
Elara's still working.
he wakes up on his own. He's quite confused. I think he wakes up with a jolt and he looks around a little startled, not sure where he is unfamiliar. And then he realizes where he's in Elara's room, and there's a sound of rain, and there's a blanket on him.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of relaxes a little bit, and he looks at the blanket and just kind of chuckles a bit to himself.
She looks up. Hi.
Hello.
You fell asleep.
I did.
Were you, really very tired?
I must have been. To be honest, I don't typically get, the best of sleep on a good night, so...
She nods. Yeah, you were a little fitful, and, I thought maybe you were having a nightmare, so I made it sound like rain. I think it helped a little.
I think it did. Thank you for... And he gestures to the blanket and the little rain rock that he picks up. He looks it over.
You see runes. You see like a rain rune carved in there. And she nods.
No, I did. I slept much better than I usually do.
I was thinking about, well, while you were sleeping here, just like right in front of my face. Well, not right in front of my face, but like you were in my line of vision. And I just started thinking about how, are you okay? I know that we've asked you, but I don't know if we've like really asked you. You know what I mean? And I just, well, you just didn't look like you had the best sleep, and I was just wondering.
I'm alright. You know, as good as I can be.
I know that you said, the night or the morning that we left Grimford, that we shouldn't worry about you, because you're used to this kind of stuff happening, which is really weird because, you know, I don't think most people have ever seen like a whole town sink underground before. But, I am kind of worried, about you. And I guess, I don't know, I mean, just because you're used to something bad happening doesn't mean that you have to be okay with it, you know?
I think he looks at you and considers what you're saying, Elara. And he nods, but he doesn't say anything.
You know, Ivy told me that she and I are friends, and I told her that you were her friend too, and that she could talk to you about things if they were bad. And she said that I could talk to you too. And I just feel like you you have really looked out for us this whole time, because we're both really new to escaping cults, I guess. But I don't know, I mean, do you have people who look out for you?
I think it takes a moment to consider it again. He opens his mouth to lie, or deflect again, but he shakes his head and looks looks down at the floor at what he's left open, all of his books and such. And he looks back up at you, Elara, and he takes his head. No. You know, I can count on my hand how many people have asked me if I'm alright. Even less people who have told me that just because I'm used to something doesn't mean that I can't have feelings about it. There's no one, Elara. And there hasn't been for a really long time. And I'm beginning to wonder if there ever really was.
I think she kind of thinks about it for a moment and sits with it. I'm sorry.
For what? You've got nothing to be sorry for.
Well, it's just kind of sad, you know?
Is it?
It is. Everyone should have someone or someones who look out for them or care about their feelings, or don't just want them to just pretend to be okay, you know?
I think he nods. I think most people do. But the last people who I trusted to do the same for me turned out pretty bad, so my trust was misplaced, so I have sort of been on my own ever since.
Well, you're not alone anymore. I mean, you don't have to be, I guess, is what I'm saying. Because you have me and Ivy now.
He nods and says, I appreciate that. It might just take me a while to get used to the concept.
That's okay. It's still weird for me too. I didn't think that I would be making new friends, but here we are.
You didn't think you'd be making new friends?
I don't know if you've noticed, but I am not the best at making friends, but I'm trying. And in the guilds, it's harder to make friends, you know, when you are like me. So,
I don't think that you should pay any mind to people like that.
She kind of like smiles, but it's like fake.
Yeah.
Like she's like kind of placate, like, you know, like you don't get it, I guess, and she doesn't.
I don't think that you should give anybody the time of day who doesn't see you for what you are. You don't want people like that on your team anyway. People who can't keep up or understand.
I wish more people thought that, but you and Ivy think that. And she smiles this time, and it looks genuine. She's not looking at you at all. She's kind of fiddling, I think, idly drawing scribbles in her little notebook. It's nice, you know? So
I'm sure there'll be more. You have to be quite stupid to not see how brilliant you are, so.
I think she blushes a little and like lets her hair block her face.
How are you doing anyway?
I'm fine. I've been making a lot of progress on so many of my projects. So that's been really great having all of this time to do that here.
I think that he nods and just like gives you a moment to say more, but when you don't, after the first night that I asked, I wanted to give you some space, and I don't like to cry. It's not something I do very often. But after tonight, or this afternoon I suppose, and all that's sort of led up to now. I guess I just sort of worry.
She puts her pen down.
I fear that you might be burying yourself in your projects to avoid, facing all of this. And this, again, I don't want to pry, but I also don't want to leave you alone and hurting if you are.
The guild stuff, Véres, I'm used to it. Don't worry about all that. I think she pauses for a few seconds, thinking if she's actually ready to talk about it. And she looks at you, and then she kind of nods to herself. I don't really know how to face killing people because, I did that, more than one person, and I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do now that I've done that. And I think the worst part is that no matter how many times I play it over and over in my head, and I don't even have a choice, because I think anytime I have a moment where my mind is still, it's all I can think about. It's all I can see. Their faces when I close my eyes. And I thought that maybe there was a different way. But every time I try to think of a different way, I always come to the same conclusion. I had to kill them, I didn't want to, and I don't want to ever again, but they would have killed me if I didn't,
He nods listening to you talk. We were in a situation where it was kill or be killed. Unfortunately, I would agree. I have run through that scenario many times over in my head, and I do not foresee a different outcome that wouldn't have ended up in somebody dying. I think that you did the best that you could with what you had, and you made a choice to stay alive. They would have killed you. Make no mistake. I wish I could tell you that it gets any easier, but it does not. You always remember the first few. And for a while, every time you close your eyes, the faces will burn behind those lids, as if they're imprinted there. You'll remember the names if you knew them, maybe what they said. It never really goes away, that feeling of guilt, or the faces. But in time it will get better. It will be easier to manage. Taking another person's life, it will weigh heavy on you for a long time. But I think that means you're a good person. I'd be a little afraid if it didn't.
Well, I guess that's why you should be worried about it, and you should be not okay with it too. Because I think that you're a good person. I was afraid to tell you because I don't know, I just felt like if you weren't struggling, then I shouldn't be struggling with it, And I didn't want to look like I couldn't hold my own, which admittedly I probably can't. But it's nice to not have to keep it to myself, I guess.
I think that he actually grimaces when she says that he's a good person. He doesn't look at her either. He listens quietly. I don't think he says anything about the killing or whether he feels guilt or not. He doesn't comment on that. I can understand that, being afraid to tell me about it. But you did hold your own. I think you and Ivy are both perfectly capable of defending yourselves, as he had proven. And everyone was a beginner once, including me. I remember what it was like and how scared I was. How frustrating it is to feel so out of your depth, sort of standing at the start of something new. And I think he looks up at her. Is she looking towards him?
Yeah, I think she does.
Yeah, I think he makes eye contact with her. He says, I want you to know that you don't have to be afraid to tell me anything. Admittedly, My talents may only lie in things involving violence, but whatever it is you need help with, I'm happy to do what I can. And if I don't know what to do, then at least we can figure it out together, you know?
I think she smiles and she nods. It's not, your talents aren't, whatever you said about violence. And she just shakes her head and she goes, well, you're really smart. She like gestures to all the books and crap around you. And you've been really helpful with like teaching us how to be, better at
violence?
No, how to defend against violence, and how to not get violented on. So that's not violence. And you shouldn't think that that's all you're good at, because it's not true. Can I tell you something?
Always.
I'm afraid to leave Ozrin. It feels really safe here. And I'm afraid to be afraid again, you know?
He nods, and he stands up with the rain rock and the blanket. All of his stuff has been put away as they were talking. And he goes over to her, and I think he crouches down in front of her, giving enough space so it's not like right in her personal space, but puts the blanket over her shoulders. I understand that. Ozrin is a safe place. People are typically nice, save a few assholes here and there. But you know, you're not alone now, and whatever comes, we'll be with you. But we cannot stay here. I wish we could.
I know. I mean, we could. We actually, though, you know, this window is the best for myself. Like, I've never seen a better window, honestly. But you're not alone either, and we'll be with you too.
I think he nods, and in his head he's just thinking, I wonder how long that'll last. But he doesn't say it. I think he chuckles a bit, and he stands up and says, thank you. Sincerely.
Thank you sincerely too.
Get some sleep, Elara.
You too.
And I think that he goes to leave at the door.
And I think when he gets to the door, she just goes, Véres?
He stops mid-step and looks over his shoulder. Yes, Elara?
If you ever can't sleep, there's always room on my floor. And she gestures around, and there's really not that much room on the floor. There's shit everywhere. So she thinks she kind of laughs when she like looks around. I'll make room, is what I meant.
I think that he smiles a bit to himself. He nods, and he says, I'll keep that in mind. Good night, Elara.
Good night.
And he leaves.
And she goes back to working on her project.
Thanks so much for listening. We're incredibly grateful for the love and support.
And P.S., if you want more content, check out our Patreon for free clips, bonus scenes, and if you join the Red Rogues, you'll get access to the Rainbow Dice Club chat and after show where we talk about past episodes.
If you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review and tell your friends about us.
Special thanks to our Green Fiend Patreon supporters, Jen Bear and Michael.
And with that, our story pause is here for today. Join us next time as we continue our adventures, and remember, it's never too late to start your own.
Bye! He looks at Elara, he's like, do you want to explain or shall I?
No, you can. Because I don't remember. I don't remember enough.
That's fair.
They're like some magical dudes and dudettes and non-binary people who, they track down magic stuff, and they wear weird masks.
Whoa.
I know.
Nice car.
Thank you. Thanks. It drove us all the way here.
It's like a wet fart.
What were the 3 options again?
So it is
I want to know about the mythical creatures, but I guess it makes sense for her to do the fucking gems.
That's up to you.
That's fine. No.
Okay.
Full government.
Does Elara have a middle name? For real? Did we ever say she had a middle name?
It's full government.
It's FG.
No, I don't think
initials FG. No, I'm just kidding.
Florida George.
No, I don't think she's ever said.
I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think so
I can't
either.
remember.
If you want to make a canon, you can.
Nah.
Man.
Elara Spindlespark is more than enough.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We're going to do some foreshadowing today.
Love it.
So,
did you hear that, listeners?
did you hear that, listeners?
Oh, let Ivy school this lady right now, please.
Oh wow, that was creepy.
What?
Simultaneous yawning.
Same.
Yeah, we did it the exact same time, the exact same way. Ivy pulls a diamond neck. No, I'm kidding.
I would like to roll to appraise that gem.
Praise that gem.
Praise that gem.
Can I pet that dog?
Can I praise that gem?
I don't start fights, but I will end them. No,
a lady never starts fights, but she does end them.
Rules to live by.
Yes. Not to get Lucy's ear shake. I was afraid to tell you that my car is driving by.
Really fast.
Really fast.
Sounds like a great call.
It's a Chevy. It's actually a Chevy Impala.
Nice,
1969, baby.
I lost my accent. It's fine.
I love it.
It's vanished into thin air.
It's back.
Hello. I live for well, that's not true. But I pretty much live for this.
I live for the drama.
I live for the drama.
The drama.
And the 5 minutes of Drac.
Drac is back.